Welcome to part 4 of Alex and Elena figure out how to build a kitchen, and this week it's all about the pantry. Whoa! A walk-in pantry was a must-have for us, and the core of this room is cabinetry.
Boom, it's a cabinet.
We're trying our hand at RTA or ready-to-assemble cabinets, and this video goes from delivery to install. Get ready for fancy levelers, dog cubbies, and the Cabinet Jack 5000.
It works!
This is so much more fun than normal, real engineering. But first, a quick flashback to how we got these babies home.
We received a call about 15 minutes ago from the driver that is delivering all of our cabinets. I'm just playing follow the leader and following Alex down the driveway. Can you get it from the side? All right, Alex, if it's too far, it's gonna fall.
I'll lower down when you come down.
You're good. Perfect.
Part of the receiving process for these cabinets is to unpack them within 5 days, inspect for any damages that may have happened during shipping, and report back to make sure that we are all good. So that's what we're gonna do today, get these things in the garage, unpack the boxes temporarily, and see if we have any damages. Obviously, we are not ready for these cabinets yet. We don't have drywall on, and that also means we don't have lights. So we brought our little battery DeWalt tripod light down here to help inspect these things. And we're just gonna take them out one panel at a time, look everything over, and make sure that there's no major issues.
And wrap them back up just how we found it.
Yep. They did a nice job packaging everything up. We did find one small little bit of damage on the corner of this one side panel. This was the very bottom panel in the stack, and it looks like at some point it got bumped and it kind of smushed the edge of this corner. Theoretically, a toe kick will cover this up, but we might see if we get this one replaced when we get the main cabinet order, if it's not too big of a deal. It's finally time to add some life to our plain white pantry here that's just a bare blank room, and make it into a beautiful space that's going to really be an extension of the kitchen. Today I'll be putting together the cabinets for this room and maybe even installing them as well. We bought the cabinets through the RTAstore.com, and we decided to go RTA in the pantry for a little bit of cost savings, super short lead time because they're in stock. And honestly, I'd never done RTA cabinets before. I'd heard of them. I was just interested to try them out. For the main kitchen, we have a different color on the base cabinets. It's a sage green, and that was not available in RTA. So the main kitchen is actually a different line. That's their Midtown Sage Green, while the pantry, we're using their Southport White Shakers. So the doors look a little bit different. They're still both shaker style doors, but we figured since it's in a different room, you probably wouldn't even notice if you weren't looking. So we decided to go ahead and do RTAs in the pantry. Here's the design we're working with, although it's going to have a custom built cubby system by me, and this countertop is gonna extend all the way across to this wall. But just a basic tall pantry cabinet, 2 white wall cabinets, and then a 3-drawer, 36-inch wide drawer base. We'll need to put some fillers in next to the wall cabinets and the drawer base and the pantry to make sure all the doors can open properly, but otherwise this seems like a pretty simple install. I'm gonna start with the tall pantry cabinet. I've already started unpacking it. That is, both side panels are there. There's the back panel, and the front panel is leaning up over there. The RTA store has made some pretty detailed instructional videos on how to assemble these, so I went ahead and watched those and sort of got my bearings on what I'm doing here. It's pretty simple as far as I can tell. The main ingredients for assembling these are wood glue and staples. All the panels have dado joints routed out in them, so it's pretty tough to mess up getting them square and everything. Once they're assembled and the glue dries, they're good to go. Oh, and they do have these metal angled corner brackets those provide the real structural integrity while the glue sets up, but of course, once it's cured, the glue is doing most of the work. They recommend starting with the front panel down, actually. So I've unpacked that. It was packaged really carefully, actually. Lots of cardboard and foam and bubble wrap. The game plan here is to fill these little channels with a little bit of wood glue, put in the side panels, the top, middle, and bottom dividers that all go in here, and then the back panel goes on top. The side panels on this guy are pretty large, so I'm gonna get some brackets on even before I put the side panel in, and I'm trying to strategically place them because they're not the most attractive thing, kind of behind the hinges, so that when you're looking, either this is the top of the cabinet, if you're looking up, your line of sight is blocked by the hinge, seeing this little guy, at least slightly. That might work out, might not, we'll see, but it's worth a shot anyway. I'm thinking I'll start off with just two brackets on each side, and then 2 for each top, middle, bottom panel. We'll see if we actually need that many. I'm not sure exactly, being my first time doing this, so we will see. They're just little tiny wood screws too, so I don't think there's much of a risk of splitting without a pre-drill. They're maybe 3/8 of an inch long. All right, got my brackets on, decided on top and bottom behind the hinges on the hinge side, and then on this side, right here behind our center stile and up there. I figured you won't typically be looking upwards, but you might be looking down. So let's start with this side panel. There's some tight bond in here. I'm gonna stay a little bit to the outside edge of the dado so that squeeze out doesn't go in my cabinet, if I can help it. All right. It's probably gonna be the hardest one I do just because it's so gosh darn bulky. Just making sure the 3 different dados are all aligned. Set one of these end panels in here should help hold it up for the time being. Looks like both sides are equally pre-finished. The quality is really nice on these. I mean, it's all plywood, full 3/4 inch face frame, solid wood, everything. Did a nice job. Now it said you don't need to put any glue in the sides. I guess that's probably a good idea. I might throw a little bit on just for the heck of it. I don't know how necessary it really is, but you know, just enough so it doesn't run out, but maybe does a little bit of extra holding. Got the top and sides on, that was pretty easy. It's kind of funny, I had a little bit of shipping damage on this one panel down here. The plies just became a little bit delaminated. I think it would be covered by the toe cake, but we let the RTA store know about it and they actually did send out a new panel. Made a very valiant effort, however, if you notice something, the dados on this panel aren't even close to what they should be. The dividers in this are, you know, kind of top, a little bit off middle and bottom, and it's got too close to the bottom and too close to the top with nothing in the middle. So this was a beautiful panel, but unfortunately won't be able to use it. I'm gonna have to repair that the best I can, and it should be hidden by the toe kick anyway, so I think we should be okay with it, but nothing I can really do about it at this point. I'm trying to get all this stuff together today. Now we're ready for the back panel. Here's the tricky part. Getting all these dados in. And closing it up like a sandwich. Should end up nice and square, being that it was cut on a precision machine router. There we go. One side likes to pop out when I get the other side. Now the side panel just gets bridged to the back with a little 3/8 inch stapler. They say you can use an air or a hand, and I don't have my air stapler here, so I'm going to just hand staple it and finish off whatever I need to with a hammer. But I definitely found the clamp helps because it kind of holds everything together. This does a pretty good job, actually. Last step on the box assembly was to put this last bracket on here. So now we have 3 front and both sides. And the last, I guess that's the second to last step. The real last step is to put just a couple wood screws here. There's only 3 of them, 1, 2, 3. And the box should be assembled. Now I got a drill for the easy levels, which I have more about this in our pre-assembled kitchen cabinet video. So I'm just gonna breeze through it, but it's a really awesome system. I definitely would not install a cabinet without it in the future because it just makes leveling them so much easier. No shims or anything like that. Easy levels are on and ready to go. Before we get this thing stood up, I'm just putting this wall filler on. This is just a little 1.5 inch spacer so that the door, which swings this way, has room against the wall to actually pivot out and go at least 90 degrees once the handle's on there and everything. So I'm just gonna get this sort of temporarily screwed. We might have to end up scribing this to the wall, which is likely gonna be wavy or not perfect. If it's close enough, I'll be able to use just a bead of caulk or something to fill that gap. But that's why I took the door off. I'll put the temp screws underneath the hinge plates here so they won't be seen once the cabinet is done, and then we can decide whether or not we need to scribe this. These are the GRK trim screws that I'm using. These are like 3 inches long. I'm gonna need to trim off about 1 inch of it once I get the hole drilled and nice and reamed out for this. I'll just use my lineman's pliers to nip off the last inch of this. I just don't feel like going to get right length ones. I'll make my own. Oh shit, come on, Alex. I also don't have a drill bit that's this long and skinny, so I'm using the screw to drill the hole. Actually works out pretty well though. These GRKs are really nice. This takes a little bit. And here's after the lineman's nip. Double check my length, good, yep. This thing's nice and flush, and it'll be hidden totally underneath that hinge plate. I'm going to attempt to get this thing in here by myself. How am I gonna do it? Sliding it on some foam, maybe. Lots of this foam wrap. So to keep the bottoms from getting damaged, I think I'm just gonna walk it up onto this guy, slide it in, because it's too tall to walk through the door. That wasn't too bad. Got her in there and it's pretty well in the corner. I used the laser level to plumb everything up in both directions. The gap against the back of the wall is surprisingly good, and that I think is because I came through with the planer before insulation and flattened all the studs out. On the filler strip side, there is about 1/8 of an inch at the worst. The perfectionist in me wants me to mark this and scribe it and try to shave off the 2 tight spots, which is right down there and up there, that last 3 or so feet, to try to close that gap up, but I think I'm just going to run a beat a big stretch in it and call it a day. The countertop people are coming tomorrow, so I really need to get this second drawer base built and in here, and I just don't have time to deal with scribing. If I had 2 days to do this, I probably would do it, but it's gonna be fine. I'll just be extra careful running a bead of caulk in there. Oh, I can't forget though, there's an outlet in this pantry. Elena wants to use this as a vacuum cleaner storage closet. So in the event we ever have a cordless vacuum, we wanna be able to charge it inside that cabinet. So all of these actually are adjustable outlets, and that one behind there, I'm going to cut a rectangle out and adjust it all the way flush to the inside of this cabinet face. That way it looks like the outlet is in the cabinet. So I have to measure and cut out for that. I accidentally messed up the pantry cabinet in this kitchen, which is not currently up because I'm trying to fix that mistake, but I am not going to make that mistake twice here with this pantry cabinet. So I'm gonna be really careful about measuring up from where my cabinet is at the bottom now that it's been leveled, and then over from the sides. So now that it's sitting where it needs to be, I'm gonna leave some marks on the wall, and then I can measure relative to those marks to find out where the outlet is and transfer those measurements onto the back of the cabinet and cut it out. So here's a little mark I made where the cabinet was sitting, measured over to my outlet, and did the same thing at the very bottom. That's how I have my cabinet sitting up off the floor after the easy levels. And I wanted at least 1/4 inch so that the LVP could slide underneath the toe kick and it doesn't ever wick any water in the event of a sprinkler going off or a leak or anything like that. But I wasn't as exact with this one. I just added 1/2 inch to my measurement over there when I measured up from the subfloor to the bottom of the outlet. Then transfer those marks right over here, and we have ourselves something to cut out. Now I'll drill through with a tiny pilot bit to the inside, and I'm gonna cut it with my multi-tool from the inside out. That way there's no tear out on the inside that might be visible. It'll all be back here. This backside panel that's like a picture frame style is one thing I did notice compared to the pre-assembled cabinets, that RTA cabinets are not quite as nice, where the pre-assembleds have a full 1/2 inch thick panel, just solid plywood on the back. This is a 1/4 inch panel with this 1/2 inch picture frame. So it's all still wood, but the backside in general is a little bit thinner. Not that it really matters, you're ever gonna notice it after it's all done, but just something to note. It's gonna be a little bit of a pain with my outlet here for the fact that I'm kind of crossing one of the 1/2 inch styles. Knock knock, anybody home? Now for the moment of truth. We're low again. How did we end up so low? Not quite positive. Maybe I shouldn't have been so lax about measuring off the subfloor. Maybe that was the problem. I still need to trim about 1/4 off the top. I don't know how that got shifted down. It's like it's about 1/2 inch it got shifted. Maybe that subfloor is really that far out of level. I don't know. But I think it's still enough. The cover plate should cover it, so it should be good. All right, there it is after a trim. So this is gonna work. This is the beauty of the adjustable electric box. That's just about flush with the surface. It's ready to wire. I checked the cover plate, just barely covered that gap, so we're good, but definitely not my best carpentry work. Not exactly sure how I screwed it up, but something to do with measuring off that subfloor. Before I screw that pantry cabinet to the wall, I want to get my drawer base built and in there, and those face frames fastened together so that there's no gap between the face frames, and then I'll screw them all together to the wall kind of as one. If I screw the pantry in now, there's a chance that there's going to be a gap that I won't be able to close. So I just want to get all those together before fastening to the wall. Let's montage through this drawer base. The next step for the pantry cabinets is actually a little bit of custom work, and I've already done it. I didn't really bother getting a whole lot of it on camera because the focus of this video is really the RTAs, but I wanted to fill this gap here from here to the wall with sort of a custom setup. I should really say this was Elena's request. She wanted some pull-out baskets to store produce and things that needed more air, like potatoes, onions, root vegetables, that kind of thing. So there weren't many great options as far as like pre-made cabinetry for this. So decided to do our own little custom piece here. It's just over 60 inches from this cabinet to the wall. So we found out that we could do like 3 18-inch baskets, probably 2 or 3 rows and then 3 columns. So 9 baskets, or I guess 6 baskets potentially. So before the counters are installed, I'm just putting a basic cabinet carcass that I'm making out of some plywood. And then later, after the counters installed, I'm gonna build the face frame. I just don't have time to do the face frames right now. I would if I had the time. But I time-lapsed through most of the assembly, and I just kind of winged it when it came to making this cabinet. Did some routing of dados for the sides, cut everything sort of custom to fit. Modeled a little bit of the construction off of these RTA cabinets because I'm basically making my own RTA cabinet, and it came out pretty well. Here is just the carcass fully assembled. Elena's dad, Mark, and I just assembled it. Already got the easy levelers on the bottom, so that should make leveling it really nice and easy. Like I said, 60 inches wide, divided into 3, and we should either be able to get 2 or maybe 3 drawer baskets high out of this. And you'll notice over here, we've got some dados because this is actually that piece of pantry cabinet. See how the inside's white here? I was able to reuse that panel and make my end panel out of it. So that worked out all right. There is a little bit of a hole up there where the toe kick is, but you'll never notice that once all the drawers are in and the counter's on. Same thing over here. I was able to reuse part of that as well on this other end panel. So that was a good bonus of that little mistake. It was a happy accident, as Bob Ross likes to say. I was really surprised at how tight the dados fit with that 1/2-inch router bit. That thing worked really, really well. They were like basically perfect dados everywhere. And we put a little bit of wood glue in each channel, put some screws in where we thought they would help hold everything together, and this should be a pretty darn solid cabinet when it's all done. Now we just got to get it in here, get it leveled up, screwed to the wall. We're ready for counters in here. Wood glue is still a little bit wet, so just keep that in mind. Yeah, we can pick it up. It's not very heavy. Tip it your way. Perfect. And I built it a hair shallower than the wall, just in case there's any imperfections. It doesn't protrude, so it's about 1/8 of an inch shallower. Okay, cool. Now we just got to get the levelers up, and it'll be ready to go. Isn't that cool? I mean, that thing's level as crap now. You should be able pretty much to see the line on your hand everywhere. Fast forward several months, we got some lighting in, we got some flooring in. We'll cover those in separate videos, obviously. But we are finally ready to pick up on our procrastination and finish these pantry RTA cabinets. We just have 2 left to go, the 2 wall cabinets, build 3 drawers down here for this drawer base, and we're done. Let's start with the drawers. Get back into it nice and slow. This should be pretty easy. 5 pieces, everything came flat packed. Just a little bit of wood glue on the dovetails, and I'm gonna use 23 gauge pin nails to pin nail through the dovetails to keep everything fastened while it's gluing and drying.
Do we need clamps?
No clamps needed.
No clamps needed.
Shouldn't matter too much.
Do you have to kind of like hammer it in?
Yes,
Seems
they
like
will
a
be.
tight fit.
It will be malleted in, yes.
That's all you put for glue?
Well, this is more sometimes. Yep, a little taparoo.
Not off to a great start.
This has got to come out because there's a hole in the bottom that corresponds to the drawer slide, which I didn't quite realize. Luckily, the glue is still nice and wet. We were trying to hide the logo. We didn't really want to see the manufacturer's stamp. They're trying to put it in the back of the drawer, but they've drilled the holes such that it should be in the front of the drawer, so we'll live with it.
Georgie, kind sir, what are you doing back there? Are you on guard?
Probably less squeeze out if we put the glue in the female side anyway.
Oh, do we need to put glue in?
Nope.
You get that side?
Spread these just
Sorry.
slightly. These dovetails are so tight that I really don't think we need nails, but just to see what it would look like, we're gonna throw a couple in the back of this drawer. So just 2 little tiny holes. These are 23 gauge pin nails. They don't have any head, so it's like shooting a needle into the wood. Even though it's a small hole, I don't love the fact that there's a hole in the dovetail, so I'm not gonna use them for any other drawers. It was at least a good experiment though. I love using the 23 gauge pin nailer for like crown and really tight molding where you don't wanna see any fastener holes. Here though, it's just kind of unnecessary because of how tight these dovetails are.
We've gone so long without having drawers here that Georgie has decided to make this bottom area his little home. And for a while, we actually put his bed in here, and then we extended this little curtain even further, so it was like a little cave for him. He loved just laying in here while we were working on everything else in the space. But we've had to evict him, and so we moved his cubby over here. And this is much smaller, but he really likes tight spaces, so it worked out.
Just gonna send it. All right, so there's actually no feature that holds the drawer in except for the hole in the back and the hole down here. Otherwise, it's just gravity holding the drawers in, which is a little bit different than the pre-assembled. The pre-assembleds do have a clip, so they don't rely on gravity by themselves. So that's definitely a difference between the RTA and the pre-assembleds. Drawer slides are just a little bit different. There we go. That was it. It should be full extension. This drawer is huge. 36-inch wide drawer and cabinet is no joke, gigantic. Also another tip, never put base cabinets as like with the doors, except if it's like a sink base. Drawers are just so much more accessible, so much easier, so much less bending down. Everything is pulled out to be right there to grab. Doors just suck. I hate crawling in cabinets that have doors at the bases.
Hoping for a sincere performance, but open to finding the moment, to finding out where I'm headed now.
Well, that wasn't so hard. All 3 drawers are in. Now we are going up to the wall cabinets, and that is it for our RTA pantry. Wall cabinet, step 1. Similar to the base, we're gonna use these little angled clips. I'm locating them so that our sight line will kind of block the clip's view with the hinge bracket. So the top ones, I'm putting the clip just above where the hinge bracket is, and the bottom one, I guess the sight line is not really gonna block the bottom, but I'm gonna put them below the hinge brackets just to keep them as far out of the way as possible, just so they're as hidden as possible. Yeah, I see it splitting. Probably should pre-drill. Despite my best attempts, the wood is splitting a little bit, just putting these screws in as is. They're pretty hefty. So I'm gonna make a little flag on a drill bit here to guide me in not over pre-drilling. In fact, I'm gonna take this one out. See that little split starting right there? We don't want that to grow. Much easier. While Lena's finishing that last bracket, come around with the glue. Doesn't appear to be any directionality to these cabinets, like the top and bottom can be completely reversed.
Hopefully.
So, oh yeah, hopefully. The side panels though, oh yeah, they're both painted, yep.
Yeah, it's totally reversible. The plywood shouldn't split nearly as easily as the solid. Perfect.
All right. Boom. The cabinet. Okay. The doors sit just off the counter.
Just off the counter?
Yep. Because they're not going to open otherwise. You know what I was looking at was. Whoa. That wouldn't have been good. If you're gonna. Yeah. Yeah. You're better off putting them below. I think. This is going to be about how high it's at, but I think it's good on the bottom.
I think it's good.
Step one of hanging these guys, we got to figure out where we're putting screws. So before drywall, I went ahead and put some blocking in. I couldn't remember if I put it in up top too, but thanks to my stud finder, it's letting me know that yes, I do have a strip of blocking about this wide, right across where the top of the cabinets have to be. At the bottom, I have it right here. This is going to be around where the bottom edge is, where this wire pops out here. So yeah, I have blocking all the way across, top and bottom. That's going to make it really convenient for screwing these in, because I'm not having to find this one little strip of stud that I can screw into. That's going to be really handy. Then I took my 36-inch filler as a marking stick, and we're going to come down 36 inches straight from the top of this cabinet. We want all of our cabinets to be aligned up top. So this wall filler is the exact height of the cabinet. I got my marking knife. I left just a little mark on the wall at the bottom of this. That'll give us our bottom cabinet elevation, just to leave a mark there so that we can see it from the bottom for sanity. It'll be a lot easier. Pencil. You sit like a good boy? Sit.
Oh, you're such a good boy.
Couple last steps before we hang this guy. First, filler strip. This is just like our base cabinets, where if we have a door opening against a wall, or in this case, a pantry cabinet that's about 8 inches wider than this one, in order to make room for that door to open, we need a little filler strip. This is 1.5 inches wide, ripped it down out of a 3-inch wide strip that we ordered when we got the cabinets. And now I'm just going to do a long pre-drill through both of these and use these 3-inch GRK cabinet screws, super low profile, just leaves a little tiny finish head. And I'm actually doing them under where the hinge plates are for the doors, so it'll be totally hidden when the door is on. Oh, hello, Mr. George. Hello. George is about to explain to you the last thing we have to do before hanging this cabinet, which is accommodating the wire in the back for the under cabinet light. We just have to carve out a little half moon so that that wire can sit up and is not glaringly obvious underneath the cabinet. I'd also like to introduce to you our little invention here, the Cabinet Holder 5000, which is going to make installing these wall cabinets hopefully a lot easier. I made it so it will hold it just below where it needs to be, and then we can do a final little shim to get everything nice and level and situated. We're going to test it out by setting it up on here for this drill for this wire. Sit back and ta-da! Hopefully this works.
Oh gosh.
With a bent paddle bit. I can't see a thing.
You're like touching back there.
We're actually right on the line there. That works really well. I will bring that set up just a little bit. I mean, I'll look at it with the level, but it looks good. Well, we have a bit of a dilemma that I did not really see coming, but I really should have. And that is, now that we have a screw in this cabinet holding us to the wall, how the heck do we get our mounting stand out from underneath the cabinet? It's kind of trapped in there with like the lip on the bottom edge of the cabinet, and there's no way to shorten the mounting stand or anything to pull it out from underneath. So that was really not our best foresight there. However, this could be a blessing in disguise, because I found that the gap between this filler and this cabinet panel is not perfect. So I'm going to try my hand at maybe doing some scribe action to get this to fit better. There's a little bit of a bulge right here in the middle. It's because of the permanent shelf dividing this pantry is right below this cabinet, so it kind of sucks it in there, makes a bit of a bulge. I'm gonna try to scribe that to work better. And then also something I kind of forgot about was we have a cabinet just like this going right next to it. It's easier to join them on the ground because we gotta fasten those face frames together. So I'm thinking we'll screw these together and put them up as one big unit of 2 boxes. I'm gonna modify my jig as well. Obviously can't keep it how it is. I'm gonna use these guys as part of the jig. These are the hand jacks that I've used a ton of different times. They're super handy. I'm gonna modify them a little bit and incorporate them into the jig so it has a movable top platform. As always, life lesson, learn the hard way. Watch the light fixture. Watch the other cabinet. It works. Bring it over. Cabinet helper is joined. Thank you, sir. All right, will the contraption work? It's pretty cool. So the cool thing about this is I should be able to lower this just a little bit. It's not very controllable. I thought there was a more controlled way to...
Oh, there you go.
All right, I got screws up in the top flange, 2 in each cabinet. Let's see if our contraption works here. This should fall out from underneath this thing if we design it right. There we go. Look at that. Oh my gosh, it worked. Engineering at its finest right there. This is so much more fun than normal, real engineering sitting in a cubicle. I would rather come up with stuff like this all day. It's so nice having the blocking down here because I can just put screws in anywhere and keep them nice and symmetrical along the back of the cabinet so it looks neat. This lined up quite well, our wire for our under cab. So I'll tuck this up in here. Eventually we will do a backsplash down here, so that will hide that even more. Let's get the door slap back on here. Like magic. For fasteners up top, I use these 2-inch GRK cabinet screws just because they're convenient. They have the flat head, they drill really nicely. On the bottoms though, I use these 2-inch deckmate screws with a little countersink bit to start it off. These are a little bit heavier duty. I don't really care about that though. It's just that the head blends in better with the cabinetry. It's just closer to the color of wood than these GRKs are, but either make a great option though for any sort of cabinet fastening. For my first ever cabinet scribe, that actually didn't turn out too bad. It's definitely got a more consistent gap. It's not like tight as a tick or anything, but that looks a lot better than it did. I'll still run a little bead of sealant on that and the one that's up against the wall once I run the crown molding all over this, because that's gonna need sealant as well. I'm gonna call RTA pantry cabinets complete. I am so excited to be able to start using this storage. Went ahead and put the shelves in, and there is just so much countertop space in here too. This is more countertop space than I had in my college apartment, and this is just our pantry. So it's gonna be really nice to have our air fryer here. Some of these countertop appliances that take up a bunch of room, they're gonna be out of sight, out of mind here in the pantry. Still a lot of work left to do though. Still have to put our knobs and pulls on, crown molding in here, under cabinet lighting, and tile backsplash eventually. So those will be saved projects for another day. For now, as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. George, you okay? Yeah, sleeping dog, little sleepy guy.